Shalom and good day. We thank you for gathering with us here today with your family to learn about his calendar and his mysteries. We hope that you will enjoy this lesson, for we shall be going into 1st Enoch chapter 72 to study about the lights of heaven and their course. We ask that you have patience as we go through this lesson because it's going to be more than one part, for the foundation has to be set. For those who have read 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Enoch, you will understand what I'm talking about. So you can understand why there's a difference with the lights now compared to when time was perfect. So I ask my brothers to uncover their heads. I ask my sisters to cover their heads. And face the east so we can pray unto our Father. For the carnal going hand with the spiritual. And when you understand that relationship, do you understand how we operate in the physical realm and in the spiritual realm? And do you understand why our Father in heaven given these things for us to do? All right, let us face the east. Abba Yah, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. So be it. Okay, so now we're going to pull up the agenda. What you see here before you is a picture of two circles. We have a round circle and an elongated circle. And this one heavily relates to 1st Enoch chapter 72. Now we should go to the agenda. So in the last session, I had shared some picture with y'all, which is very important because for those who read the whole chapter of 72, you will see why it's important that that the Father gave us this evidence. And we will be coming back to this picture in the parts to come. Okay. But we're going to scroll down to the agenda. Now, the first and most important thing, since we are coming together and to study his calendar, I got to give y'all the date. So if I had did everything correctly, if I didn't cross anything up, the date of the heathen is January the 23rd in the year of 2021 AD. And their day is Saturday, known as Saturday Day. Okay. Far as the Most High date, we are in his 11th month, known as Sabbat. And y'all, there's a mystery with Sabbat, for Sabbat means a rod. On the channel, there's a video that was expound on the mystery of the rod. I highly recommend that y'all watch that because this will be very fulfilling unto your soul. And in the month of Sabbat today, we are on the 9th day, which fall in the 8th day from Adam, which is the 13th day for creation. And we are in the 8th week of Enoch's 10-week prophecy. Far as the date of the sun, we are in the sun's 11th month and 2nd day. Okay, now that we have that out the way, let's first go ahead and get the copyright law out the way because we will be looking at material. Okay. Okay, so now what y'all see here before, we have many pictures of circles and we will be coming back to that. Now we're going straight to 1st Enoch chapter 72. This is the breakdown page of that. And before I start with that, I need to pull up the King James 1611 Bible because there's a chapter we need to open up with. And I want to give shout outs to one of our sisters. In the past, she shared this chapter with me. And I can't remember if I ever shared this chapter with y'all, but it's one of those chapters that many goes to when they're studying about the Son. And that's in the book of Songs. I got to remember the chapter. It's one of the things, it was there in my mind, but I forgot. Let me see which one we got to go to. It was Songs 19. Okay, Songs 19. Reader 1, could you read this chapter for us today? Let me first ask you, are you able to see the Bible summary as well? Reader 1?
I can see.
Okay.
On the side?
It's right here. You see where my cursor at?
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh. Okay. Start reading from there, and let me look at all these verses. I think it's 14 verses. Yeah. If you can read this whole chapter for us, including the Bible summary.
Okay. It says, the Creator shew God's glory, the word, his grace. David prayeth for grace. To the chief musicians, a psalm of David. The heavens declare the glory of Yah, and the firmament to his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night sheweth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set tabernacles for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoice as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the end of it. And there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. Hid from the heat thereof. Sorry. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgment of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey, and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward. Who can understand his errors? Clean thou me from secret faults. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer.
Praise be to y'all. That was a beautiful reading, my sis. I thank you. For those who are following along with us, I do recommend that y'all come back and read this chapter, because we will be coming back to this chapter a lot as we study the lights of the heaven, especially when we're looking at the sun. We see a lot of good things in here. Even verse 14 is in a song that I know that is sung, and I think it's done with Old Babylon. I can't remember the title of the song, but even this verse here is in a song that is sung today or played today on in that video as well. Okay, and here are the side notes for Psalms 19 for those who are joining with us. Make sure you pause the screen and write those down. Okay. The only thing else I want to point out, when our sister read the chapter summary, notice what it said. It said the creatures shows Yahuwah, our God in heaven, y'all. Glory. Okay. Again, this is what it's all about. We're studying the mysteries, because what his creatures or what his creations express before us, they are telling us deep things, the heavenly things, or the mysteries, or the messages. So, as again, I'm just confirming to you, it is also expressed, it is shown in the Most High creations. Okay. And unfortunately, Adam, which is mankind, do not see it. They don't pay attention because they're not connected. All right. Thank you, sis. That was very beautiful. So we're going to go to the books of Enoch. And I know we got to go to page 128 in this book. Okay. So 128. And I probably need to go back to the beginning so you can see what book I'm talking about. Let me just hit page 1. Did it let me do it? Okay. There we go. So this is the cover of the book that we'll be reading out of. This is titled The Books of Enoch, the complete volume containing First Enoch, which is the Ethiopic Book of Enoch, then Second Enoch, which is the Slavic Secrets of Enoch, and then the third book of Enoch is the Hebrew Book of Enoch. And this work was put together by Joseph B. Limpkin. Joseph B. Limpkin. Okay. Let me see here. To my family who's on with me now, do y'all have access to that link? Because I know I shared it with y'all in the past. Do y'all still have access to that link?
I have the book.
Okay.
Yes, I have the book too.
Can I get
That's
the link?
2.
I have the book, but I need the link. I don't have the link right now.
Okay. Let me make sure I send you the link. So I'm going to pause my screen. All right. Family, what are y'all seeing now? Are y'all just still seeing the books of Enoch? Is that what you're seeing now?
Yeah.
Yes, sis.
Okay. Let me just get this link to you. Now, are you able to access that link in the chat, y'all?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Now let me go back to the book and resume my share. Okay. I'm going to go to page 128. I'm going to have my readers to help me with this chapter. Today, our focus will be verses 1 through 10. That is our goal today. And we're going to start off slow because when I went back and reviewed this chapter, y'all, a lot was being said. So in order to break down the rest of the verses that come after 10, we really need to take our time and go through the first 10 set of verses. And then after that, it will speed up pretty fast, okay? So reader 2, what I would like for you to do, can you read verse 1 unto us? And let me blow up my screen so that way those who are watching this video can see and follow along. Okay.
Okay. The book of the courses of the luminaries of heaven, the relations of each according to their name, origin, and months, dominion, and season, which Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, who is their guide, showed me. And he showed me all their laws, regulations, exactly as they are, and how it is with each of the years of the world, into eternity, until the new creation is accomplished, which endure until eternity.
This verse right here, y'all, is saying a lot. Okay, so we're going to take our time and go through this verse because it's telling us a lot of things, not only just about the lights of the heaven, but it's giving us insight about our Father, and it's giving us insight of what yet to come. Okay, so going to my note sheet first, I'm going to take care of this one first. So when we look at verse 1, one of the things that stood out to me was the holy angel. And we read that verse, it told us about his position. What is his role or function in the heavens? And the name of this holy angel is Uriel. And he is responsible to what? To guide the luminaries of the heaven. In other words, he is to guide the lights of the heaven. Okay. So with this, y'all, what are the lights that would come to your mind that he is guiding?
The sun,
Sun,
the
moon,
moon,
The sun, the moon,
the
and
stars,
the stars or Mazareth.
and the stars. Okay. Okay. Something very deep here. Also in this paragraph here is introducing us to that the following chapters is going to deal with looking at the courses of the lights of the heaven. Okay, the courses of the lights of the heaven. So when we say courses, we are looking at what their paths, right? What paths they take. I should put that in a parenthesis, path or paths. Okay. Then it goes on to say, it's looking at their relationships to each other. Okay. Their relationship to each other according to their name, origin, months, and it expound on months. It's looking at their dominions and seasons. So when you look at months and it's expounding on their dominion and season, what do y'all think that's talking about? Why would you think that the translator of Enoch's works will put in parentheses dominion and season to be associated with months?
So you know what season is, probably?
kind of close. Think about it. Why would the author here, not author, but the translator here, associate this word dominion and season? Because we know in parentheses, this is something that the translator is adding to, but it don't have to be included, but he's expounding on it. Why do you think he put dominions and seasons? Dealing with months. I'm going to read this again. The relationships of each. Okay, so it's looking at the relationship between these lights, and how it's going to do it. It's going to look at according to their name, their origins, which is beginnings, and their months. And then the transliterator expound on months as saying, looking at their dominion and seasons. With all the stuff we studied so far about the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth, what did we learn about these lights?
They have an appointed time to when they come.
They have an appointed time, right?
Yes.
So a certain light will what? Dictate unto us what is what?
Like the seasons and like sort of like Passover and all that.
In other words, a certain light will what? Come in and tell you this is what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Each light has that certain role or function depending on what it is. For example, we know the moon declare unto us the what's the word? The holy days and the holy feasts. It declared when they are, right?
Yes.
Okay. What do the sun declare unto us?
The seasons.
The seasons, somewhat, yes. But what else?
The feast. Well, no, not the feast. That's the.
It let us know what season the feast should fall in. Okay. But what else do the sun do? This is something daily that's very important.
It tells us what time it is. Is that right? It gives us the time. It gives us the time of day.
Time of day, you're getting very close. But what else it does that's very important, because see, the moon can only give us the month, right? And the days in that month. But what does the sun do?
The start and end of the day.
That's right. We got to know when our day begin and when our day end. Okay. So you see that role is only given to what? The sun. Okay. Now, with Mazzaroth, what we learned does a very big part. Okay. And we know it works with the sun, but Mazzaroth, each sign let us know what season we're in. And within that season, it dictates what will come forth, whether we will have what? Wetness, dryness, cold, etc. from what we learned from that chart. Okay. So in this paragraph, it's again letting us know about their relationships to each other. And what we see with their relationship to each other, do we see as one doing everything?
No.
No.
Working together.
Working together. As what?
As one.
As one. And what that remind you of?
Most High.
Close. You hit it on the head, but what else with the Most High? Who did the Most High work with as one?
His son.
And who else?
The Holy Spirit.
That's right. Even what the Elohim head works as one. Ain't that kind of funny? We got 3 types of lights. And in the Elohim head, you have what? 3 spirits. Y'all see the relationship now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me see here. So it's according to Their names. Names is very important because you know in Hebrew a name means something. Their origins, right? Their beginnings. Okay. And let's see what else in that paragraph, y'all. And let me see. And their months. And if somebody can tell me what's in that parenthesis, I remember dominion, but what else?
Seasons.
Seasons, very important. So each light has their role or has a rule or has a charge to dictate unto us what is the season or what should come in that season at the appointed times. Okay. All right. Let us keep going on. So we all identified that Uriel has this charge over these lights. Now, another thing that's standing out to me, he said that in this paragraph, he was shown that all their laws, which is also, you can interpret as regulations. Make sure I'm reading this right. Let me just read it out loud. He showed me all their laws, regulations, exactly as they are, and how it is with each of the years of the world. Okay, so what you see here, do these lights do their own will?
No.
No. They too have to follow what?
Yahweh.
His will.
His will, which is what? What is his will? And Brother Al hit on that last week, remember? What is the Father will?
That it shall be done.
Look at that sentence. It's giving you a hint. It's giving you a hint. Look at that sentence.
Commandments? Is it?
Oh, okay. Somebody said commandments.
Yes.
Which is what in that verse it say what? Laws.
Laws.
Laws. Do y'all see this?
Yes.
So the lights have to follow Yah's laws. And the translate, he put what? Regulations. Another way to look at this could be commandments, right? And to expound on that, because Brother Al gave us a deeper insight of that, is dealing with Yah's will, right? And he said unto us, Yah's will is an expression of what? Anybody remember? Okay. Brother Al shared with us that Yah's will is an expression of keeping.
Expression of trust.
You kind of close. Trust is a part of it. But Yah's will is an expression of keeping the covenant. And we know the covenant is inclusive of Yah's commandments, right? And laws, statutes, and judgments. So if his lights got to follow some laws, why do Adam think, which is mankind, think they ain't got to follow no laws? Do y'all see this now?
Yes.
Like the old saying, what's done in heaven is also done in the earth. Just by looking at what the Most High created, do y'all see how we still getting Torah from this? We still getting the Bible from this. And it's expressed unto us every day when we see their lights. I mean, yeah, when we see them in the heavens. Shown unto us. They too what? Obey him. Okay. Then it goes to say that with these laws, that they follow exactly as they are, and how it is with each of the years of the world. So as each year go by, we know these lights have to, what's the word I'm looking for? Will perform certain things according to the year that it is. Because the question we have to look at as this, are all the years the same unto our Father?
No.
No.
No. Okay, no. Therefore, if it's not the same, then these lights will have to perform whatever the Father command for them during that year. An example of that is when we have Shemitah and Jubilee. Okay. Because those years in the earth, we have to do something different. We're supposed to let the land rest. We're supposed to have liberty, etc. When you go back and review Leviticus 25. So just as the same as in the earth, the same as in the heaven. So these lights don't always perform the same thing year from year, okay? So their laws and regulation is going to relate or correspond to each year of the world. Also, let me make sure I'm reading this right. Let me back this up. I think I misread that part. It's looking at the course of the illuminaries, the course of the light. So how the course of the light with each of this year of the world into eternity until the new creation is accomplished. Okay. So even the courses is going to be different for each of the years. So let me write that down. Okay. Did that make sense to y'all? For example, I put
Yes.
this. With the coming of the Messiah, we know that these lights perform a certain sign in the heaven when he came to announce to the world that, he is here in the earth. So these lights will perform certain things according to that year, okay? Then go on to say how it is with each of the years of the world and to eternity. So we know these lights is never going to go away. They're going to be what? To eternity. Then it goes on to say until the new creation is accomplished, which endures until eternity. So it's letting us know that a new beginning is coming. It's coming. And when that is accomplished or completed, okay, then we shall enter into eternity. Okay. So with that part, we see how to word it. Until the new creation is accomplished, which endures until eternity. So this one, until is accomplished, which means completed or comes to its fullness. Okay, then make sure I'm looking at this right. Then eternity will come. What do y'all think that means? Because right now we've seen a prophecy right here before our eyes, and that was just in paragraph 1. Keyword endures. Here are a hint. The Messiah set an example of that.
I'm gonna take a guess here. It sounds like it's referring to this generation, and that pretty much those who endured until the very end.
You're getting close. You're hitting it very close. Going back to the beginning, well, Adam, what is the promise? What is the promise?
To be restored back to the state of Adam.
You got it. You got it, sis. To be restored, right? Because you notice that everything's kind of centered around us, right? Because if we're not restored, then what? New heaven and new earth can't come, right? Everything's centered around us. We here go back to the beginning. So it makes sense why we see this word endures, right? What is another thing that this should remind you of? I'm gonna give y'all a hint. And the Messiah set the example of it. That should lead to our restoration, or that should give us back to being Adam again. And before y'all answer that, I'm going to give you this so you know this. Remember, Adam is the son of God.
Is it to restore the Holy Spirit in us? Well, what's the word?
That is true, but remember, I'm talking about Adam in his wholeness form. That is true.
The Spirit.
Very true.
Spirit.
Go back to the beginning. What made up Adam?
Spirit. Y'all spirit.
That's one part.
You're talking about regeneration, sis?
That's right, regeneration. Go back to the beginning. Look at the makeup of Adam. Makeup of Adam. What is the makeup of Adam? What is the first part?
Body.
Okay, body, which comes from what?
The dust of the earth.
The earth, right? Okay, I need to put down here 1. What's the next part?
Breath of life.
Breath of life. Which made him what?
A soul.
That's right, a living
life.
Soul. Living soul.
What's the next part? Somebody gave that answer before, though.
Y'all's image.
The spirit.
Your image gonna be made up of these 3 parts.
Oh, I mean.
Is it?
Let me correct myself. Your image is going to be the completion of these parts. Okay. Someone gave the answer. for the third part.
The
In other
spirit.
words, to be his son, just like Israel was made his son, Ephraim was made his son. Even the Messiah was what? Well, we all know he's his son, but it's something that we bear in common to be a son or to be a daughter of Yah. It's also written in Romans 8, also written in Genesis 6.
His spirit or Holy Spirit?
His spirit, which is what most would say Holy Spirit.
Or the root.
And his spirit is basically his heart. That's what he put in us in the beginning, before the fall. And this heart right here is going to do what, y'all? What is this heart is going to do? When he put his heart, which basically he's putting a part of himself in you. Okay.
Anything all like pure, new, clean?
Think about this. I'm going to ask y'all this. How did, well, I'm going to touch on a little, I'll give you more than one. How did our forefathers know what to offer unto the Father? You look at Abel and Noah. How did they know these things?
He wrote his law, statutes, and commands on our hearts.
You hit it on the money, but basically the Spirit tell you these things.
Yes, within us.
Okay. Do y'all see this now? It was already in the beginning. This is how, well, what else I'm thinking about? This is how they know who to marry. This is how Judith knew about the judgment for Tamar, because he was thinking that she committed some type of fornication. So the judgment for that act was what? To burn her to the stake. But basically this is how he knew this. Another thing is when we go, but this is throughout the whole thing, but when we look at people's gifts, crafts, and skills, where it comes from, y'all. How do they know to do these things?
Comes from him. It comes from him and within us.
That's right. So the Spirit was what? Guiding you. Guiding, which is basically leading. And instructing you in all things. Deep, ain't it, huh? That was in the beginning.
Yes.
Okay. So if the Spirit is doing all this, what would come from it? What it will produce?
Good fruits, good labor, good deeds.
That bring forth good fruits, but I'm looking for something deeper, y'all.
Perfection. Perfection.
Okay, it's going to bring you to perfection. What else? I'm looking for something deeper, and we hear this all the time. With the Spirit. If you receive the Holy Spirit now, what does it bring to you?
Understanding.
Okay, that's one. Because of one is understanding. Let me see here.
His wisdom, his knowledge.
Okay, that's it. We have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And these three shall give you what?
Power.
Look for something different, sis. What is the thing that we're trying to gain back that we lost as Adam?
The Spirit.
Light.
The light, the spirit from
We ought to talk about spirit.
his
We
image.
haven't hit on light yet, but what is the thing that we had in the beginning, but when we sinned, we lost it?
A perfect relationship with the Most High.
That's a part of it.
Immortality.
Immortality.
Yeah.
So if we have what? His spirit. And I might need to reword this. Okay. Let's see. Let me reword this. Bring forth good fruits. Bring you to perfection. I'm going to put EITC. Okay. And for him, most importantly, okay, I'm going to indent this more so we can see it. So, if the Spirit bring us knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and our sister said, when it brings you this, it shall what? Give you eternal life.
So sis,
Hmm?
so we're going back to the tree of life.
Oh, the tree of life is going to be used to heal the nations, you know, and whatever else it does when you eat it. But I'm talking about what the Spirit brings.
Okay.
Okay. Remember what's written in the books of Corinthians, as well as the other books. It keeps saying unto us, we go from corruption to incorruption, right?
Mm-hmm.
We
Right.
go for mortality, if I hope I got it right, or to immortality. I always get them two mixed up. One means death, one means life. So it's telling us a change is going to take place. And it's dealing with these three areas: body, your soul, and spirit. Y'all see that, right?
Right.
Yes.
Because when you read about our parents before they fall, you will learn something deep. And what you will learn that they was eternal beings. And that, yes, they were clothed with light because they what? They were clothed with the Spirit. And because they was clothed with his spirit, or because he put his spirit in them, they was connected to the Elohim head. Therefore, they can what? Commune with them. Talk with them. Know their thoughts. Know what they want. Do y'all see this? That's what we lost.
Yeah.
And this is why when people talk about the laws are spirit. It has nothing to do with letters on the paper. Same thing. His commandments, they are spirits. Statutes and judgment, that's all spirit because it comes from a spiritual being, not on letters on the paper. So let me read this. So his spirit, which is his heart, he puts inside of us. And his heart will what? Guide us, lead us, and instruct us in all things according to his mindset. That's very important. Not our mindset, but according to his mindset on how he wants things done. Very important. I want to underline that. All things, see, guiding, leading, and instructing us in all things according to his mindset. It's basically his will. Very important. So the product of the fruit is what? Bringing forth good fruits, or the fruits of the Spirit, which was going to make you what? Perfected. That's the product. In other words, that's the result of it. But most important, what we're looking for from his heart, we're looking for his Spirit to bring us his knowledge, his wisdom, and his understanding. And when we have these three things, then we shall what? Inherit eternal life. Very important. And believe me, it's very different from the world. Very different. And this is why the world look at us being fools, because the things that he instructs us to do is not going to make common sense to them. Okay? Very deep. So this is the ultimate prize. We want to have what? Well, I'm going to say ultimate prize, but this is the biggest part of the restoration, is that eternal life. Okay? So here, the new creation, until it's come into its fullness and endures, their eternity would come. And that process is dealing with regeneration. And the Messiah set the example of it. And the steps of regeneration are, let's see here. What's the first step, y'all? I'll give you a hint. This is dealing with one, receive the new covenant, known as the salvation of Yah, when one receive him.
Baptism.
Baptism. What type of baptism?
By the Spirit. The like
That's one
Water.
part.
water.
Okay, must be what? Born of the water, right?
Yes.
What's the second part?
Like maybe receiving his salvation.
Okay, when you receive salvation, these following are going to happen. You can be born of the water, and what else? What are the things he told Nicodemus?
Born of the Spirit? Oh, wait, hold on.
Got to be born of the Spirit. Now, this is talking about spiritual things, y'all. Now, remember, the carnal going hand with the spiritual, but it's talking about spiritual things here. Okay. What's the third step?
Is it repentance?
He set the example, huh?
Is it repentance?
Okay. That's the step of when, yeah, repentance is one of the steps, but I'm talking about the third step for regeneration. Regeneration is...
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Remember the Messiah set the example. What else happened to him?
Salvation. Wait, hold on. His body came back to life.
Which is called what? What is that process called?
To be reborn.
Reborn. What's another word for it?
Regenerated.
That's one. That's the word we're talking about now. But what's another word for that process? What happened, y'all?
He rose.
Risen.
He risen, and what they call it?
Yeah. Resurrection.
Resurrection. There you go. And in that resurrection, there's a change, right? Right?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what is the change?
You have a new heart, new
Spirit.
spirit.
Mhm.
A better understanding.
All these things are inclusive, but what is the key thing that needs to be changed? And Paul talks about this too. Because Paul talks about this battle that we have within ourselves.
We be battling our flesh under that.
And what is the flesh?
Sin. Like
Sin.
darkness. Well,
Let me go higher. What do we say was the makeup of Adam?
the body.
The
Changing
body.
the heart.
The body has to be changed. This house that we in has to be changed. Do you understand why?
Yes.
Why?
So we no longer operating in our flesh. We be operating by our spirit.
Okay.
By spirit.
That somewhat sums it up, but I'm looking for the specific reason why. Why this body has to be changed, y'all.
It's because Yah is in spirit, and to come to him, we have to be in spirit.
Okay, that's part of it. But
Is it
why
to
this body?
to receive salvation?
We ought to receive salvation. Because if we didn't, we couldn't be, this step could not take in place. Remember, the resurrection is the final step when he comes back. Okay, very important. Okay, he gave us an example with the saints that rose with him. Okay, why this body got to be changed, y'all? Remember Genesis, the beginning has the answer. And y'all here. What happened when Adam failed?
Because he knew he became flesh, and he lost his spirit.
He lost
Okay,
that made
so
him.
someone said that he became flesh.
Yes.
So what was he before he came flesh?
He was a
He
spirit.
was a spirit.
Spirit and what else? Remember the three parts now. He was body, which is earth. He was a
He was a
breath.
living soul.
And he has a heart, which came from our Father.
Yes.
So what was he before his body became flesh?
Wasn't he an angel?
Incorruption, immortal.
Okay. Incorruption and angel is hitting right on it.
Holy angel.
So he was, what's the word I'm looking for? I know we talk about eternal. How can I say this? So Adam's body was of incorruption. In other words, my error. Okay, I can't get my error right. So Adam's body was of incorruption. Do y'all know what that means? What does it mean that Adam's body was of incorruption?
No sin.
No sin.
No sin, right? So
Pure.
if he had no sin, that was what?
He was pure.
Pure. So if he had no sin,
darkness.
No death.
Okay, no death. Okay. So because he has no sin, no death, his body was what's the word?
Mortal.
It's the opposite of decay. In other words, his body could not what?
Die.
Die. This is very important. Do y'all see this?
Yes.
So he was an internal being. See, being. Make sure I spell that right. So I spell being. Oh, it's ing. Okay.
There you go.
An internal
There you go.
being, just like the angels are eternal beings. And the verse to prove that, you can find it in Wisdom of Solomon, I believe, chapter 2. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. So he was made to live eternal.
That's good.
Okay?
Yep, that makes sense.
Right. Very important to know. That's what we had in the beginning. We was not to die. Therefore, the body that the Father made for us did not decay, did not rot, was youthful. You know what I'm saying? You think about all the things one would have if you had no death in this flesh. If you had no sin in this flesh. Remember, these are all spiritual things. All right. This is why the words say that when sin and death came in, then that's when we had our bodies to be corrupted. Okay.
That makes sense because, like they said, when he became flesh, the days are numbered now.
Yeah, days are numbered. Thank you, sister, for bringing that out. So even with studying the calendar, do you see how it's bringing you back to the word? Bringing you back to the beginning? Give you understanding of why we keep his covenant? Give you understanding that the covenant is marriage. Let us know that we are joined to our Father in heaven. We are married to, the Father, the Son, and the Ruach HaKodesh, which is the Holy Spirit. We are bonded to them. And that was all in the beginning. But when Adam, and I say Adam, mankind, talking about our father and our mother, when they disobeyed them, that's what cut us off from them. So as each generation came, you saw a change in each generation, how they got further and further away from the spirit of Yah. So when we look at Genesis 6:3, it said that he said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for he is flesh. We can see why the spirit was no longer with those generations. Why? And I'm going to ask y'all this. Why do you think the spirit of Yah did not dwell with those generations that came from Adam and Eve? Why do you think that?
They was disobedient. They weren't listening to him.
They was being disobedient, right? So when you become disobedient, the spirit of Yah cannot dwell in a temple. See, that's why I put body in a temple or a tabernacle that is unholy or that is defiled, because his spirit is holy. Y'all see this now?
Yes.
So this is why the new covenant had to come, because we was failing by our hand and the flesh was overpowering us. Because people don't understand, there was a change that took place in the Garden of Eden when our foreparents ate that tree. A change took place. This is why Paul say we have that inner strife between our flesh and the spirit because of that change. So this is why in the third step of regeneration, which is the resurrection, which is the change of the body back to eternity, okay, this is why it has to take place. Okay. So that's the third step we're waiting on when the Messiah returns. And that was just what? Verse 1 in 1 Enoch chapter 7:2. Do y'all see how deep that is?
Yes.
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 Yes, sis.
Mm-hmm. So just as his lights bear, what's that? That image of him, or what's the word I'm looking for? I can say, just as his light bears the expression of his will, we too bear that same thing. For example, just as these lights in heaven are illuminated, therefore what? Adam was illuminated. Y'all see that?
Yes.
Yes, sis.
So all of his creation, including us, bear that same illumination because what? We kept what, y'all?
Oh, it's covered.
Hmm? Hmm?
What was the question again?
Okay. Because as we said, let me back it up because I do need to correct myself. When we look at his creation regarding the lights, okay, in the heaven, we see they too bear the same thing that Adam bared when we kept what?
His commandments.
That's right. His commandments is what?
His laws.
His laws. Make sure I spell this right. Let's see, bear. I think it's B-A-R-E. Okay. So like I said, what's done in the heaven is also done in the earth. So until his new creation, which is us, we're gonna be what? We're gonna be made anew again. Is fulfilled or is accomplished, and we endure. Then we shall what? Enter into eternity. What yet to come, which is the new heaven and new earth. Okay, eternity. All right, that's enough on that, y'all. I'll let you meditate on that part. We're gonna go on to the next verse. Okay. To my reader number 2. Let me see. I want you to read verse 2. I'm gonna highlight it.
Okay. And this is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary, the sun, has its rising in the east doors of heaven and its settings in the western doors of heaven.
Okay. So in this verse, it's giving us the first law of these lights that they got to follow. Okay. And in that verse, we learn that the sun has to rise in the eastern doors. Now, y'all want to get your, well, I got a picture where you can see where east is. And then it goes on to say that the sun has to set in the western doors. So I got a picture here so you can see how that looks like. So in the east, we got the eastern doors, and in the west, we got the western doors. Okay. That is the first law. Do y'all hear that? So rise in the east and go down in the west. That's another way to say it. So what? Rise in the east and go down in the west. All right. Reader number 1, I'm gonna get you to read verse 3 for me.
Okay. And I saw 6 doors in which the sun rises, and 6 doors in which the sun sets, And the moon rises and sets in these doors, and the leaders of the stars, and those whom they lead, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, all following each other and accurately accordingly. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me say that
That's all
over.
right.
Sorry. 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all following each other accurately, according order, corresponding order.
Okay. Thank you, sis. All right, let's go back to the note because it's saying a whole lot here, y'all. So we got to break that down. So verse 3 is looking at the rise and the set of these lights, right? I want to put the word lights because that's what I want y'all to focus on. Because sometimes when people say a luminary, people ain't gonna know what you're talking about. Okay. So in that verse, we learned that there are 6 doors that the sun rises out of, right? And there are 6 doors that the sun set in. And in addition to that, the moon also rises and set in these doors. Do y'all see that? How they follow this law? And then you notice this, they're falling behind the sun. Okay. Then it also tells us that the leaders of the stars and those whom they lead, and you probably ask yourself, well, who are those that these leaders of the star lead? So when you look up them, you can get a more expound information in First Enoch, chapter 18, verse 15, and chapter 21, verse 6. And we'll probably go to that. But to expound on them that they lead are the stars and the hosts of heaven. Now, the next question you probably have is, who is the host of heaven? Now, I only gave you a highlight of the host of heaven, but there's many other creations that the Father had made in the heavens, y'all. Okay, but I'm just giving y'all the highlight. So one of the highlights of those who make up the hosts of heaven are the angels. And you can read about them in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19. Now, I'm not going to say this Hebrew word. I'm going to spell it to you. It is Tsaba, and its concordance number is 86635. For in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19, it says, "And least thou lift up thy eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun, the moon, and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them, which Yahuwah thy Elohim have divided unto all nations under the whole heaven." So when you read this chapter in its fullness, you will learn that even from the books of Jubilees, that the Most High had turned the other nations of the earth over to the hosts of heaven for them to worship. And as you see here too, they also worship what? The sun, the moon, and the stars, okay? So he turned them over to worship the angels and all the things that are in the heavens. However, unto Yashrael, which is Israel, we are the most high inheritance. Therefore, he is our judge, ruler, teacher, and God. So we was under his authority. Okay. So we came under his umbrella. But for the other nations of the earth, he put them under the hosts of the heaven and let them have their way, in other words. So they begin to worship and serve other things. Now, I know somebody who's watching this video by saying, well, why was that so? Well, when you study the history of Adam, you will learn that all the sons of Adam, whether it was before the flood or after the flood, you will learn that they was taught the ways of the Most High. However, they chose to worship the other gods. So this is why the Father came to create a nation unto himself, so he would have a nation to worship and serve him in the earth. And this nation would be a light unto the Gentile nations, and which shall hopefully lead them back to what? To worship and to serve our Father in heaven. Okay. But we're going to look at, let me see what I want to look at. Did I copy and paste that link? No, I didn't copy and paste that link. But to save some time, go to blueletterbible.org and look up this Hebrew word, which is host. 86635 and see of the things that are listed or that are in the heavens, because it's a lot more than what you think. But so far, what Deuteronomy chapter 4 is showing us, the things that are in the heaven are the sun, the moon, and the stars, including the hosts of heaven. So there's other beings or other creations that the Father made that are in the heavens. Okay, now I want to go to, let me see, do I want to go to first Enoch 18? Let me see if I want to go there. Okay, so those two chapters I was giving y'all was an example so you can see what is the host of the heaven. Okay, so y'all can just read that in your spare time. So we're going to skip over that area and let y'all do some silent reading on that. Okay. So then to expound on the leader of the stars, in that verse, it let us know there are 6 leaders that are in the east, and there are 6 leaders that would be in the west. Okay, and I do have a picture below that will give you an idea what that looks like. And then to summarize that whole verse, when we look at that whole verse, it's saying that there are 6 doors in the east and 6 doors in the west. Now, all of them listed above, following each other through these doors. And when I say all of them that's listed above, I'm talking about the sun, the moon, the leader of the stars, and those whom they lead, including what? The stars and the hosts of heaven. All of them follow each other through these doors in the correct corresponding order. Okay, so in other words, all these things above is going to follow the correct matching paths or direction or pattern or arrangement. This is why y'all see me put other words that that is familiar to corresponding and the words that are familiar to path. So in other words, they're going to what? Follow the leader. Okay. And a picture of this to see what this looked like you see here. In the east, we have 6 eastern doors. And you see how I number my door? I do it the Hebrew way. I number from right to left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And through these doors, we're going to have the sun and the moon and the 6 leaders of stars and those whom they are over. Okay. They're going to either come through these doors right here. That's in the east. And then in the west, we have 6 western doors, and the same thing, the sun and the moon, and the 6 leaders of stars, and those whom they are over will go out through these doors. So as you see here, come in. That's another way to look at it. You come in through the east and go out through the west. Okay? So I need to type that in there as a catchy saying. Again, these are what? Laws, instructions. Which brings us to this. This is what I thought that was very interesting. As I was meditating on these doors numbers, number 4 stood out to me when I was reading further down. I said, well, I asked myself, y'all, well, another reason too. Then I was looking at the transliteration in comparison to what Joseph had in comparison to what Charles had, because on sacred text, you had a different transliterator for the first book of Enoch. So I was looking at their word selection because in Joseph's book, he chose the word doors. Okay, let me go back over here. I noticed that he chose the word doors. But when you read Charles' transliteration, he chose the word portal. Okay. So I thought it was very important that we need to look at that word. You know, is there a difference between the word door versus portal? Okay. Because when you understand what these words mean, then you'll be able to understand what Enoch was describing unto us. Okay. So first thing I went to our Paleo Hebrew letter chart. And I said, what letter I know that means door? And also, when I looked at that letter, I know it represents 4. And that's something to keep in mind as we read further down. But when we look at the Hebrew letter the left, we know it means what? A door, a path, a way of life, movement into or out of something. So I see why Joseph chose this word door in the English tongue versus portal. But we're going to look at portal and see if that means the same thing too. But you know, when you meditate on this, it gives you, to me, a clearer understanding of what these lights are doing, you know, when they're coming in through the east and when they're going out through the west. Okay. Very important. I thought that was very interesting. So when we look at the definition of portal, and I got this from the etymondline.com, y'all. It says that a portal, which is a noun, it came around in the late 14th century, and it means, y'all, a gate or gateway. Okay. And we know in the English tongue, we know a gate or a gateway is dealing with what? An entrance, right? Okay. And it goes on to say, especially the entire architectural treatment for the entrance and its surroundings of a cathedral or other grand building. Okay. From the old French portal, portal, in the French tongue, portal means gate. In the modern French, you would see portail. And directly from the medieval Latin, portal means city, gate, porch. From the neuter of portalis, which is an adjective, it means of a gate. From the Latin word porter, it means gate. From pi is P-R-T-A hyphen. From the suffix form of pi root, you would see it as P-E-R hyphen. In number 2, it means to lead, pass over. The medical sense of place where a drug, etc., enters or leave the system is by 1910. So you would get understanding why Charles may have chosen this word portal, okay? Because again, he's letting us know it's dealing with an entrance, okay? That something comes in and out of. All right, do y'all see that?
Yes, sir.
However, I do like that Joseph went with the word door because it's going to tie back into what? The Hebrew. So we need door, which is like an entrance that's going to lead to what? A path. And it's very important. Okay. As we begin to learn about the courses of these lights. So as we see here, these lights are moving in through one door or one gate or one portal. Okay. That's through the east. And then they are what? Moving out through the west or the western doors. Okay. Everything are lining up. As you see in the Most High calendar, everything's tied in together. We're studying what? His letters. We're studying Hebrew. We are studying his holy days, holy feast days. We are studying the biblical prophecy as well as the word. Everything is tied in together, which is going to relate to what that shape that I show y'all in the beginning of the video. All right. And yeah, here's another picture of portal, or what it means in the modern day definition. You would see that it means a doorway, gate, or the entrance, especially a large and imposing one. And other, I call them like synonyms or words that are familiar or means the same thing as portal, which are doorway, gate, entrance, way out, exit, etc. Okay. And as you see what I read in the etymology, it's giving you the history of where this word came from the French to the Latin, etc. Okay. Now another word, I went ahead and I put it under this area because we're gonna come into this word as we read some more scriptures and as we read this chapter. And the word is compass, compass. And the strong concordant number is H5437. And I'm going to try to attempt to say this word is kabave, kabave. Now in the Bible, when you see the word compass, it is used to describe when one or something is to what? To turn about, or around, or aside, or backwards, or towards, to go about or around, surround, encircle, change direction. This word, y'all, is very important, especially with the course of lights. Okay. Now, when we meditate on this word, what do y'all envision here? What shape do y'all see that's being formed when you hear the word compass or cavalve? Cavalve.
Ball.
Circle. 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 Okay. So let me go and read the strong definition. The strong definition says to revolve, surround, or border, using various applications, literally or figuratively, such as bring, cast, fetch, lead, make, walk, whirl, roundabout, be about on every side, apply, avoid, beset, which means about, besieged, bring again, carry, about, change, cause to come about, circuit. Now that word you want to keep in the back of your mind, circuit. Fetch a, compass, about, round, drive, environ, on every side, beset, close, come, compass, go, stand, roundabout, enclose, remove, return, set, sit down, turn or turn self, about, aside, away, and back. Which brings me to this, I need to share with this. We're going to do a little math here when we look at the word compass. So somewhere Arthur gave me the answer that what compass should remind us is what? A circle, right? So when one turned themselves in a 90-degree angle all around, what is the total degree you would get?
90 degrees.
90 degree, right? Well, part of it. Let me rephrase my question. I need to get let me have an image for y'all so y'all can see what I'm talking about.
Circle is like 360 degrees. Mm-hmm. The circle is like 360 degrees.
That's right. I'm going to show you the math. There's a formula to that. And the sister gave part of it. She said you're going to turn yourself 90 degrees, right? Let's see here. I think I want this kind of in there. No, I'll do it like this. Okay. So you turn yourself. Oh, where's my? Oh, never mind. I typed in the wrong area. Okay. So you're gonna turn yourself. You're looking at a circle. And we said what a circle is, what, 360 degrees? So when one turn themselves, and I better, you know what? I need to copy this because this is going to help y'all see it. Yeah, I'm gonna put here. No, I better not put that because last time I did that, I got all them dots everywhere. Okay, let me skip a line and then insert. All right. So starting at this point, when I go from east to south, I'm gonna turn myself, right? I'm right here in the center, right? See where my arrow is? So when I turn myself, it's gonna be what? 90 degrees, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then I go to the next one. If I go from south to west, I'm gonna make another turn, right? And I'm going 90 degrees. Then I go from west to north, right here. This is gonna be a turn, right? All from the center point. 90 degrees. And I go from north to south. That's another turn, 90 degrees. If you do that yourself, you will have went what? In a what?
Circle.
Circle. This is how we know. How we know is what? 90. How many times did I turn myself?
4.
4.
4 times.
This is a circle. As you see, we're gonna get some geometry in this too. Like I said, all them subjects coming into this. And you're gonna see why this is important because it's gonna expound on the heavens as well as the earth. Okay? So I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind. That's why I would look at this word compass. Even in battle, who was that one that came up with that tactic of enclosing their enemy as a circle? Who was that one, y'all, in history? Y'all remember? And he had a, what the European would say, an African name. No, I'm sorry. I got it wrong. I'm thinking about somebody else. And that movie used to come on every year in the fall. Shaka Zulu. Y'all remember him?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I remember.
And you remember his war tactic?
Yes.
He enclosed what around his enemy. And he left no one behind. So when they came together, back as a unit, and they walked away, they walked away from dead bodies. Okay. So even in battle, we see this geometric shape being expressed, as well as you're going to see it in the lights, and you're going to see it in the heavens, and you're going to see it in the earth. Okay. Let me see. We're going to get through part of 4, y'all, and then when we come back together, we'll pick it up from that part, but we're going to do as much as we can, okay? So let me get Who's the next reader? Is it reader 2 or reader 3, y'all?
3.
3. Okay. Reader 3. Make sure. Yeah. Reader 3. I want you to do number 4.
All right. There were also many windows to the right and left of these doors. And first there goes out the great luminary named the sun, and his spear, orbit dis, is like the spear, orbit dis, of heaven, and he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire.
All right. Let's break this up. So in verse 4, it's going to expound on us, or it's going to add to about some windows, and it's going to talk about the great light. Okay. And what is the great light, y'all?
The sun.
Okay. So there are many windows to the right and left of these doors. So to get an idea or to see what that looks like, and at this time, this is what I have until I get confirmation. It does not specify if these windows, y'all, are to the right and left of each door. It is said that there are many windows that are to the right or left of these doors. So to get an idea what that look like, you will have windows on this side of door 1, and you have windows on this side of door 6. And the reason I put right over here, I'm looking at it as if we face the heavens, right? How do we face the heavens? Look at the compass. How do we face the heavens?
To the east.
The east. Okay. And in the opposite of us, we have what? The sun facing the heavens, from that point, but it's in the east. Okay. So as I'm facing this, windows will be to my right, windows will be to my left, and then we have the doors, okay, which is the left. So y'all know me, when it comes to words, I know, okay, when it comes to words, the Most High be telling some deep things. And sometimes you have to take time out to learn what is the definition of this word. Okay, so I will click on this link to bring it up. Let me see where I can close out. Yeah, I can close this out for today. And I can probably close, I can close out my Bible link. Okay. Oh, before I forget, I'm sorry, y'all. I need to go to my pictures of different circles, so everybody can take a look at these circles. So when we was talking about the word compass, we learned that a circle can be what? Elongated. It can be stretched out, or it can be a nice, perfect what? Round ball, right? Round ball, okay? As well as these types of circles. And unfortunately, they only give us mostly pictures of toilets. But even with a toilet, it has the geometric shape of a circle being shown to us. But as other things, when you're doing your geometrical shape, like your 3-dimensional shape, when you have a cone, you can see the circle being expressed in the base of the cone right there. Now here's another picture later on we will be adding, and I want to give y'all a hint. Take a look at how this circle is split into 4 sections. And when you look at the word quadrant, remember quad means 4, very important, because today we just talked about the 90-degree, right? So that's something I want you to keep in mind. We will be coming back to this image, okay? But I just want to give you an idea about circles and the shape of them, because like I said, they can be what? As we see in this picture here, a circle can be elongated, that means stretched out, like this egg picture over here, oval versus circle. Or a circle can be compact or elongated. Well, I'm sorry, a compact elongated, it means compressed within, bring together. Or we can have a nice round circle. Okay. So let me close this out. Let me see if there's anything else significant in here. Nope. Okay, so I'm gonna close this one out. So let me get back to this. So there are many windows. So we need to look at this word window in the Hebrew tongue. What does this mean? I'm going to hit the speaker to see how this word is sound. So how it's pronounced is Adavubah. Adavubah. I'm getting close. That's good enough. And this Hebrew word can be used to represent windows or a chimney. And it makes sense when you understand why we use to represent chimney. Okay. So when you look what this word, I'm sorry, when you look this word up in the Strong Concordance, most of us have an understanding about a window. And here in the biblical usage, a window can be what a lattice window or a silus. And what that's basically saying unto you, when you look at old ancient buildings, when people would make their buildings, they would have what either a square or a rectangle opening within the building wall. And within that rectangle opening, they would have, when they say lattice, it's like you have two pieces of wood come together forming a cross, or you can have two pieces of wood going horizontal across and one piece of wood going vertical up and down. You know what I'm saying? So you have like a lattice pattern. Let me see, can I draw it? Let me get a picture of a window for you. You can see what I'm talking about. Which we can see today, but this is more a modern view, okay, of what I'm showing you. This is a modern view of a window. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. It has the lattice. And during that time, you know, depending on the tribe or nation, usually you didn't have a glass covering, okay? You may have maybe a cloth covering or something for that to shear out, you know, pestilence and wind and so forth, okay? Now, when we look at a chimney, why the Hebrew word for window would be applied to a chimney, it say you have a lattice opening where smoke escapes. So that makes sense, because when you look at a chimney, what you call, you know, the part that extends from the fireplace, which is the chimney, there is kind of like a square opening. So the smoke can come out. So it's a small opening that is what to the heavens. Okay. Are y'all visualizing that? Let me see.
Yes.
So I can see why that Hebrew word was used for a chimney. Here go a picture right here. Kind of give you an idea, but not exact. I like to see the one from looking down. Let me see, can I find a one that's looking down? Like in this picture, like you see what the top of the chimney is, but you see it's more of a square shape. And if this, okay, good. Look, the lid come up. So you, if we can look down there, you would see more of a square opening. Okay. Thank you, Father, for that picture. Okay. And like this picture here, you can see how the smoke will, oh shucks, okay. You can see how the smoke will escape from the chimney area and going out of this opening into the heavens. Okay. So in the strong definition, it would say, we're gonna start on this point. a lattice, by implication a window, dove cote because of the pigeonholes, chimney with its apertures. I'm sorry, y'all. I know I didn't pronounce that correctly. For smoke, then sluice with openings for water. And examples of that is chimney and window. Okay. And what I like about this word is taking us now into something spiritual, because most of us know about, we hear people say open, what they say, open the windows of heaven. And sometimes they would say open the gates of heaven. And these verses here that you see listed here in Genesis, 2 Kings, Isaiah, and Malachi, we're going to go scroll down because I'm not going to read all of them, but especially when we go to Malachi, it's telling us something deep. Again, we have a carnal or physical example going in hand with a spiritual example. Okay, so I'm going to take you back to my note sheet. But let me scroll anything else. So some of the scriptures you probably want to come back and look at is Genesis 7:11, Genesis 8:2, 2 Kings 7:2, 2 Kings 7:19, Bezerah chapter 12, verse 3, Isaiah chapter 24, verse 18, Isaiah chapter 60, verse 8, Hosea chapter 13, verse 3, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 10, which we're going to read in this section. Okay. So when we read Malachi chapter 3, verse 10, it says, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house. And prove me now herewith, saith Yahuwah of hosts, if I would not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there should not be room enough to receive. Now, I know we didn't go over every single detail about the windows of heaven and what they do, but I'm just going to see if someone can either guess the answer or, or give a try. So what do y'all think the windows of heaven does? Or what comes out of it? What comes out of the windows of heaven?
Maybe the water?
That's right, water. And why is that so important?
You need water for many things, like for things to grow and
Gotta have water to help things to grow, like what?
plants.
Plants, right? What else?
We need it for our bodies.
Yep, we need water for our bodies. So water helps what? Plants to grow. It also hydrates our bodies when we drink it. But what I'm really looking for is dealing with Zechariah 14.
It also cleanses. It also cleanses the body, sis.
Let me go ahead and add these other attributes y'all giving me. So water, plants, cleanses body, hydrate body, okay. But it's in Zechariah 14. What happens when we have no rain?
It brings things to life.
Okay, bring things to life. Let's see. Zechariah 14. Zechariah 14. What happens when we get no rain, y'all?
It keeps droughts from happening, things being dried.
It hydrates things.
Okay, so it prevents droughts, right? So if it's preventing droughts, what? Okay, what's the common denominator that man and beast have with the rain when you look at it preventing droughts and causing plants to grow? What's the common denominator?
Famine.
Famine. It's going to what? Prevent famine. So without it, we cannot eat, right? Very big. So because what? Agriculture. Because we have no, I think that's the right word, agriculture of food. So we depend on the rain to grow our crops. That's including trees, that's including every plant you think about, trees, vines, and seeds. Right?
Yes.
And what's that somebody say, which leads to famine. Okay. That's dealing with the windows of heaven. So what is the windows of heaven representing? The spirit? I'll give y'all a hint. Joel 2. Joel 2. Anybody willing? So
Repeat
just
that.
as, huh?
Repeat the question.
So what is the spiritual meaning of the windows of heaven? We gave the carnal meaning of the windows of heaven. We said what? Rain come out of these windows, right? Water, which is water. So what is the spiritual representation of that? And the hint is in Joel 2.
Where it talks about, I'm not sure, sis, I'm gonna take a guess. Where it talks about the former and latter rain.
Go up.
Okay.
Joel 2. How is the sons and daughters going to prophesy?
Is it like his word or living word or
Inhabitants.
How is his sons? Go to Joel 2. Get your Bibles out. How is the sons and daughters going to prophesy?
The Most High is going to pour out his spirit upon all flesh.
That's right. Pour out his spirit. Just as we want him to pour out what? Rain unto the earth so we can eat, because without it, man would die, beast would die. We either would die of what? Dehydration, or we'll die of what? Famine. Right? Famine and drought. It's the same with our spiritual man. We want him to what? Pour out his spirit upon us, because if not, we are what? The walking dead. Y'all see this? Therefore, when you are the walking dead, you do not operate as Adam. Remember what we talked about Adam with the makeup. Without his spirit, we are the walking dead. Therefore, we do not operate as Adam. That's another word for him in. Which we are no longer in his image. Yeah, in which we are no longer in his image or operating in his image and has cut or and has, what's the word here? And no longer a son or daughter of Yah. That's deep. Do y'all see this?
Yes. Yes,
remember in the Roman Christian church where they say, pour out me a blessing. I want to be blessed, Father. I want to be blessed. And even though they might not understand what they was asking for, because a lot of times people associate blessings with wealth and things that's dealing with of prosperity, but the blessing is really the spirit. That is the blessing, because like I said in the beginning of the video, we expound on that. Because what the spirit brings forth, what? Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, which shall give us what? Eternal life. That is the blessing there, which makes us the sons and the daughters of Yah. Very important. This was makes us alive. We are no longer zombies anymore, dying a slow death every day. You know how a zombie, they're walking around, walking, talking, but every day something's dying off or falling off from them. But that's the same thing that's happened within us. We are dying slowly every day. This is very important. I want y'all to really grasp this part about the windows of heaven, what they are represented unto us in the spiritual realm. So as we're learning about these lights and their courses and the windows that are associated with their doors, and and we learning what these what is the role and the function of the doors and windows, which shall also be what connecting the spiritual things that's to them, because these spiritual things is going to take place upon us, which are the bride of the Messiah, which made up of Israelites, Gentiles, male, female, circumcised, uncircumcised, etc. Also, it's going to take place upon the 144,000, and it's going to take place upon the nation of Israel. What? To bring us from the walking dead status. So this is why the word of God say, when you receive his son, you are what? Revived. You are made live again. This is why you have a zeal within you. This is why you feel like you are alive. You are no longer depressed, because darkness have left you and now you are in the light. So now we are not only see the physical message here, okay? When the people, when the Father said, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house, and prove me now herewith, saith Yahuwah of hosts. So we now know in the new covenant, what we offer unto the Father now is our songs and our hymns and our body as a living sacrifice. And what he asked us to do was to love him with everything you got, and to love thy neighbor as thyself. And when we do these things, okay, according to how we love according to what the commandments tell us to do. That's how we love one another, such as not coveting what ones have, such as not committing adultery or bearing false witness. This is how we show love to one another, by what? Keeping his commandments, okay? So by us doing these things in the place of those carnal things that he had Israel to bring unto him in the old covenant. Now we are what? Bringing the spiritual things now. These are the things that's taking place of it until his kingdom to come. And in that kingdom to come, we shall go back to what the Creator made things to be in the beginning. That's another mystery that many don't understand. So in the new covenant, we worship him now in spirit and truth because we receive his salvation, which is Yahusha HaMashiach. And he will show you how to keep these things now in spirit and in truth. Until the what? Eternity can come. All right. So let me highlight something here, especially that walking dead. And believe me, I know some of y'all have met some people that are dead. They are dead. But yet, they claim they are a believer. So if you're a believer, you should not be walking dead. So something's lacking. So again, we got to be what? Born of the water and born of the spirit. All right. So the last thing we're going to close off with, and then we're going to, end this video, is that the sun, which we know is the great light, goes out first. So that is the law of the heavens. And we're going to come back in and tie in the carnal example with the spiritual example, because even with that, that means something. Why do you think that the sun, and don't answer this now, but on the next time we meet, why do you think the sun goes out first? Why is that the law? In other words, what did that represent? Okay, so I'll put here carnal and spiritual. Okay, so this brings us to our end for with First Enoch chapter 72. Forgive me, y'all, almost forgot who it was at. And as you see, we just got on verse 4. Like I said, I knew verse 1 through 10 would be deep. Oh, that's right. The Father want me to share this with y'all. When we come back, y'all, I have a treat for y'all to talk about the circle. Okay, because the Father has given us some example about this circle. And I got some pictures here for y'all. So that's a treat for y'all on the next time we come back. Because like I said, we still got some deep things to go over before we can fly through chapter 72. Okay. All right. Some good stuff. Like I said, some good juicy stuff. So I hope y'all found that this lesson was, what's the word I'm looking for, y'all? Was fulfilling. And also an enjoyment to your soul. For those who like to fellowship with us or to join us on this session, we meet on the Heathens Day known as Saturday Day. We start at 11 a.m. to fellowship and to worship. Okay, and then after somewhere between 12 to 12:30, then we go into the class section of our Father's calendar and his mysteries. So to join, this call 919-972-8970 to get the information on how you can join with us. For those who are not able to join, we do record this session as you see before you, so you can be up to date. And that we pray that for those who have a yearning desire to attend, we would pray for you that the Father will make a way for you, because I have a saying where there is Yah's will, there is Yah's way. So he would make a way out of no way. All right, my brothers and sisters, continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for it's truly at hand. And make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10. For the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism, and his apostles continued in both. If you have no one to baptize you, guess what? You can do it yourself. For as the Egyptian eunuch says, where there is water, I shall be baptized. All you have to do is exercise your faith and believe in your heart that you have entered into the new covenant. For the water is the second witness in the earth, and our Father in heaven has poured his Spirit upon all his creation. Therefore, the water can report back unto him of those who had entered into his new covenant. Do you see how simple our Father had made it for us? It's especially in this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. So hallelujah. Thank you, Father, for that. And I just want to say we love you and we bid y'all shalom and good day.